It's the weekend. It's Mailbag. Contrary to the advertised episode, there is only me and Dan on this at the minute because Matt and Dave have gone AWOL. I assume they've just gone the chippy to get the fish and chips for the day, but who knows? They might turn up at some time. Dan, how's things?
Good, man. Good.
Good, good. We'll launch straight into it then. We're just saying neither of us have checked the questions.
No,
Only two of us, so I have no idea where this is going, but let's give it a
no.
go.
As I was saying to you, I turned my phone off as John Wick 4 started, and after 2 hours and 49 minutes of body count carnage, you've never seen a film. It's mental.
Yeah,
It's
I didn't even know there was three before it.
Oh, mate. And the best thing is, Keanu Reeves has one of the worst movie star walks known to man. He's kind of bow-legged and pigeon-toed. So the old classic couldn't stop a pig in a hallway kind of vibe. And he looks like he's been on an awful motorcycle ride, right? And shit himself at the same time. So watching this one-man killing machine, there's a bit where he has to run away, and he does this sort of Jim Layton. He's got legs like Jim Layton. You know what I mean? They're like, but the toes are in as well, so it's really awkward. But yeah, so I got out of that, and I turned my phone on, and it just went bing, 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 bing. And the immediate thing is, God, something's wrong, because my son's at my mum's. You know what I mean? I was like, shit, something's wrong. And I opened my phone up, and it's just like blue room, blue room, blue room, blue room. It's just like notification, and I just went, what the hell has happened? What have I said? Immediately, I was like, oh no, what have I said?
That's always the first assumption, isn't it? Oh man, I've said something wrong. Have I liked or retweeted something I shouldn't have? What's happened there?
When I see that sort of thing, I always think what it is, someone has screenshotted one of my, kind of mid-game meltdown tweets, and like is using it like, the sort of I told you so brigade on Everton Twitter that like to kind of, sort of screenshot you saying, Sean Dyche is just Tony Pulis with a Kasabian CD. and then when Keane belts it in from 30 yards, they kind of, they subtweet the shit out of you with this aged well. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
There's nothing quite like that smugness, is there?
Oh, mate, I tell you what, the appointment of Sean Dyche has brought all of them out of the woodwork. They are everywhere.
Yeah.
The Dychian kind of I told you so brigade are absolutely everywhere. They are everywhere, mate. They can't wait to ram it down your throat of how they wanted him after, I wanted him after Ancelotti. Well, I wanted him in 1983. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, you know what I mean? They're everywhere, aren't they? When I saw those notifications, I thought, this is going to be one of them. This is going to be, I've said something absolutely ludicrous, and someone screenshotted it before I had the chance to get rid of it. And I'm now being persecuted by Everton Twitter for something I said, a year ago, like the time I said to my mate, but just before Faustino Asprilla came on and scored a hat-trick, I turned around and went, this guy is garbage.
But I think you were proved right in the end.
Oh, the long game, I was bang on. But for that one game, I couldn't have been more off. You know what I mean?
See, you can't teach people that knack of that timing of getting something so wrong at the wrong time.
It's an inherent skill that can't be taught. It's like what they say about strikers, isn't it? You can teach a striker how to finish. You can kind of run a drill, whether it's left foot, right foot, bottom corner. You can't teach them the position to take up.
Exactly.
And being able to say something literally 3 minutes before the diametric opposite happens.
It's like it's like a reverse Midas touch, isn't it? Basically. So we'll go on to Warren's question. Speaking of a Midas touch, there's a man with a Midas touch.
Damn right.
If you had unlimited wealth for a week, what would you do with it?
Bloody hell.
I'd buy loads of trainees and cars, probably.
I mean, the moral answer is to fix the world's ills, right?
Yeah.
That's the moral answer.
I'm quite disgusted that I never thought of that first.
But as we know from people who do have almost infinite wealth, the majority of people with that money, they do their sticking plaster charity stuff. They never truly fix.
He set up a trust.
Yeah, they never
something.
truly. There's that Jeff Bezos fact, isn't there, that he could feed every starving child every day, eternally for the rest of his life, and still be worth 5 billion, trillion, whatever. Yeah. He's never going to do that. So I guess there is the moral side. You'd say, oh, I'd do this. I'd fix the world's ills. I'd do this very outgoingly good thing, But the reality is, you'd probably just get a statue of you erected in every town.
Pretty much, yeah.
You'd have a designated. I'd have like a designated Danny Boy day, right? Where everybody has to get a gold tooth and a tattoo. I would, same with you. I probably wouldn't buy trainers. I'd probably just go around. I'd like a sort of ludicrously. I'd like a lot of, that sort of. I can't remember the designer now. There's a designer who does all this sort of very obscure men's technical fashion stuff.
Okay.
And there's a place called This Thing of Ours in Manchester, a shop called This Thing of Ours in Manchester. And they do all his stuff. His name's Norbert Hirasaki, kind of thing. A hat's like 300 quid, that kind of vibe, I too would probably invest in some very ridiculous cars.
That's it.
What
would be the first one you get?
Well, weirdly, it's a car I was very close to buying last year, but my dad basically made me so scared of buying it that I bottled it, which was a Bentley T2 in gold. I could afford it. That's the mad thing. They're cheap as hell because basically they're like, 7-litre V8s, and anything goes wrong with them, you're looking at $1,000. If you rip a seat, you're looking at $1,000. If you bang a headlight, you're looking at $1,000.
You feel like it's enough to get you to the next petrol station. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like 6 miles to the gallon, can't fit in any parking space in the world because it's 28 feet long.
But
and all that. And it's full of, it's full of rare and ancient wood. Do you know what I mean? So, but you can pick them up for about 12 grand, and a good one, 20. And I've always liked that kind of cliche rock and roll star old Bentley thing.
Yeah.
Noel Gallagher had an amazing brown roller. And, sort of, because they're only from the, you get a Spirit of Ecstasy, sort of Silver Shadow from like the 70s. You can get one for 10K kind of thing.
He got that on Creation Records, didn't he?
Yeah, because no one can afford to run them. There's a guy up the road from me who has a Bentley Arnage Turbo, like 90s one, red. It's the R Red. So it's British Racing Green, but it's got the red stuff on it because it's the R Red Turbo, whatever. And he just cruises around town in it, right? But the thing's the size of a barge. It's huge, right? You look inside and it's all dead animals and dead trees, right? He's probably putting 10 quid worth of petrol in it a month and going to Aldi and back in it. But when you hear it coming up the road, like that, and this big bloke wafts by in this, thing, you're like, oh mate, that's great. Yeah. But you see, my son already thinks I'm an embarrassment picking him up from school in the Saab.
The Saab's ace.
He's got me I have to park down the end of the road now.
Oh no, really? He's at that age though, isn't he?
Because I had the exhaust sorted on it. I had a stainless steel back pipe on it.
Yeah.
So it now sounds really mean. It sounds great, right? And like that. It sounds wicked. But the other day, we got to the school and he went, stop here and park down there. And I was like, why? And he went, because everybody looks at you in your car because it's so loud and ridiculous. So now I have to park round the corner from the school. And he tells me to turn the car off because he doesn't like the sound of it, even if his friends see it, or my music. He's like, don't put your music on. Don't have the roof back. Don't, you know what I mean? It's like proper, he has developed into that proper, you're a terrifying embarrassment, stay away from me. But can I lift?
I get that with Joe when I drop him off at school. So I've just got a very standard dad wagon. It's a Zafira. Fits a load of footballs and kids in the back. That's all I need. But when I drop him off at school, he immediately turns the radio off.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my music blasting all the way down. He's quite happy listening to it. As soon as we get sort of within earshot of the school, he turns it off before he gets out.
Yeah, so, he's bad enough in that. You imagine if I got a gold Bentley.
I think you should now.
You
but
know,
when he's 16, he's even worse.
Well, I looked at, the canary yellow Saab. I looked at one of them.
Yeah.
Before I bought my one, I looked at a convertible canary yellow one for proper midlife, real heavy midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Yellow convertible, like, because I've got the tattoo in the earrings, so I can't go any further.
But see, I'm scaling back my midlife crisis and I'm considering a leather jacket. But that's the extent of that's about as far as I can go with a midlife crisis. And
as long as it hasn't got as long as you don't get one with a Nehru collar.
Yeah.
The Hammond, the Richard Hammond, the Nehru collar.
Yeah. No, none of that. No, but I'm in the market for a leather jacket and I don't know what one to get. So we tried on Louise's biker jacket last night and looked quite ridiculous.
You see, I always wanted a biker jacket and I've never put one on that made me not feel like a dickhead.
Yeah. I think at our age as well, you kind of feel like one of those fellas.
Even really expensive vintage ones, and I put them on and I just look like I've had a turn and my wife's left me kind of thing.
Exactly, this is where I'm going with it.
I don't mind it. What about like a sort of classic 2-3 button box jacket? They're all right.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I had one of them when I was about 19. This is where I'm going with it, isn't it, clearly?
It was very Britpop, wasn't it? Because Ashcroft had one. Ashcroft had one in the Bittersweet Symphony advert, didn't video?
Yeah, I had one of them, but obviously it was too big for me because every item of clothing I owned in the 90s was way too big for me.
Well, we all did that thing that he did. You got the denim jacket underneath it, and then your leather box jacket over the top. It was like there was a period where you went to the pub and every Britpop fella had a pair of bootcut black cords, Desert Treks, right?
Oh,
denim jacket, box jacket, Lego man haircut.
Yeah. The corduroy wars was a very underrated part of the 90s, I think. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So if we had unlimited money, we'd solve world hunger and poverty, but we'd look good doing it. So we'd kit ourselves out with some good clobber first.
Yeah, I'd also like an owl.
An owl?
Yeah, because I don't know if you've ever seen Salma Hayek on Instagram. Her Instagram's amazing simply because she's
Salma Hayek.
Picture of, borderline perfection. But she has her own tequila brand. So she's constantly making tequila-based cocktails, which is always an interesting watch.
Yeah.
But she has a pet owl.
Okay.
Who regularly sits on her shoulder. So I think if I had unlimited, because the temptation is to go bird of prey, isn't it? Right. Yeah. But I just think you're leading yourself into a world of problems there. So I think I'd just go for
an owl.
I
think if I had a pet owl, I think I'd keep pulling its feathers up just to see its big, long, weird legs. I'd just keep doing that to it. It would leave me within days.
So yeah, owl, world hunger, statue in every town, some form of national holiday.
Yeah.
Stupid car, and clothes that make me look even more ridiculous than I already look now.
That's all the bases covered.
Yeah.
Just one final thought on buying clobber. If you had unlimited wealth, do you reckon you automatically have to buy shit clothes?
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. it's like rich people's trainees. It's like, why not just get like a pair of Nike or Adidas or something instead of getting like a £3,000 pair of whatever.
The weirdest thing I always find, having worked in a tailor's and worked on German Street and stuff like that, and worked on Savile Row for a bit and all that, the thing I could never get was when I'd see someone who has all the money in the world wearing not only an off-the-peg suit, but an off-the-peg suit that no one's told them looks shit on them.
Yeah.
You know, that no one said to them, you're not a 42 regular. You know what I mean? And that it's one of the things that always, because we used to have some famous clients that came into our tailors, and my boss would constantly tell them how to wear their suit on telly.
Okay.
So if you've got a 3-button suit on telly, you don't do all 3 buttons up.
Yeah.
Right. You either wear the top 2, the middle one, and when you sit down, you undo it to it breaks, so it sits, so it doesn't go like that.
Wide up
right. And our boss, because these people are doing lots of money on bespoke suits that took 6 to 8 weeks to make, and he'd sort of discuss with them how to wear it, what not on your tie, all that stuff, because there is an etiquette, there is a sort of sartorial etiquette. And I remember one day coming into work and he was just livid because someone we'd made a suit for was on television. I won't say who it was. And he was like, this particular person on telly used to wear a certain type of suit. It was like a 4-button Regency. So with the high collar, very 90s, very Jonathan Ross, Jack D, Vic Reeves. That period where everybody was wearing that sort of very long, almost drape length suit, 4-button. And this person had gone on telly with all 4 buttons done up and then sat down with all their buttons done up.
Oof.
And it was all gaping. You could see it on the telly, all gaping. And the problem is for a tailor, that's their CV, that's their calling card, that's their raison d'etre, isn't it? That person is on telly wearing your clobber.
Yeah.
But because they're not wearing it properly, it makes it look like they're wearing a duvet, And I think that's the thing that's always baffled me. I see someone on telly, whether it's a football manager or a footballer or whatever, and I think, you've got enough money to go and get £1,000 handmade suit that fits you so perfectly, it makes you look fabulous, and you're wearing, because it's Hugo Boss or because it is whatever, you're wearing it, but no one's fitted it on you, no one's told you how to wear it, no one's given you any advice, and it looks like you're wearing a bin bag. And it's like as you say, it's like the sort of that kind of overly garish gene that seems to get worn all the time, that sort of highly embellished, diamante encrusted thing. And it always seems to be sort of one of those things that you very rarely see someone with pots of dough who looks great, apart from like Stanley Tucci, maybe.
Yeah, he always looks good, doesn't he?
You know what I mean?
Anthony Gordon as well. There's another one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at those trousers.
You're not Tom Davis, mate. Pack it in. Tom could have pulled those off, no problem.
Oh yeah, I mean, but yeah, Tom can rock. I think that's a lot of the reason why people don't like him. Yeah. I think that's deep down one of the reasons why he gets the stick he does. Because even though he's an absolutely wonderful fellow who's trying to do his best in life and just trying to be a good person, and he's not the best footballer in the world, we know that, he knows that, but his circumstances haven't exactly helped him. He's never been given a true position. He's never really had a run in the team. He's never really had a manager to kind of mold him properly. But I think a lot of the stick he gets is because of the way he looks. Yeah, and I think definitely. deep down, there is an inherent judgmental character in people that says, okay, you don't look like a proper footballer, so we're going to be a bit judgmental on you because you've got a chopstick recycling company and you don't look like us.
You're bloody hippie, basically.
Yeah, and but unfortunately, we'll have to wave goodbye to him, won't we, at the end of the season, Les?
Looks like it.
Unless he comes in for Decore over the next 3 games and is like, Beckenbauer-esque.
We can but hope. Oh. someone who won't be losing at the end of the season, hopefully, is Joe, who's asked, what is the closest injury you've had to Harry Kane's face being mangled? So he's obviously talking about Abdoulaye Doucouré's diabolical clawing of Harry Kane's face. It amazed me the way the story was, like the story that Journos picked up was, why is Harry Kane getting such a hard time? Why aren't we looking at the red card? It's like, because it was a red card all day. Everyone, like, I didn't think it was in the ground, I'll be honest, because the delay between Doucouré
Yeah,
slipping
yeah,
his arm and Harry Kane going down. But when you see it back, he did pour at his face.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but that wasn't the issue. It was the way Harry Kane
Well,
did.
I put this tweet out a couple of days ago, which is the David Klassen thing the other night, where he gets hit in the head with a
Yeah,
missile,
bleeding.
and there's a lot of blood coming from that
Yeah,
cut. Now we
it
all
is,
know
yeah.
heads are a very profusely bleeding part of the body, but he gets hit out of nowhere from the crowd by a missile, whether it's a lighter or whatever it was. He goes like that. He goes like this, and he sees blood. He doesn't suddenly go, "Ah," like
Yeah,
that,
like
and
Luca Dean
crash
at
to the
Goodison.
floor. Because I guess the thing is, in that scenario, and it must be muscle memory. It really must be. He knows in that scenario that there is no advantage to be gained
Yeah,
from doing that. So the surprise nature of it, he goes like this, he sees the claret, and he's like, goes to the referee, doesn't he? He's like going to the
yeah,
referee like this. But there's no in-game advantage. So he doesn't drop to the floor. I dare say
yeah, that's true.
that it is this in-game muscle memory thing that footballers have, which is they drop because it's like this sort of
It's an instinct,
in-game
isn't it?
thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has a kick at Damari Gray. He's then got hold of. You can
He goes
see
over
it.
goes over the ball on Doucouré as well.
He totally does. He
Yeah,
really does. He goes to leave one on him, doesn't
yeah,
he? He's not
definitely.
going for the ball there.
No.
That's a swing, and he swings at him, and then he's got a hold of Doucouré's shirt as well.
Yeah,
That's the other thing that's gone under the radar. He's got him like that,
yeah,
and Doucouré is literally sort of doing this to say, get off of me. I mean, it's a red card. I think most of us thought the sky was going to fall in when that happened.
yeah.
But no, injury-wise, due to me having a very strange, rare condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that causes my skin to be incredibly fragile, papery, and when it cuts, it splits like cling film. I have a lot of facial scars, as you can see, some of which far worse than others. But the most ludicrous one, I, as a child, was being looked after by my nan. My mum and dad went to the Chinese. It was the 80s. Smoked glass window Chinese in
Oh god,
Torquay.
yeah. There's one in Birkenhead called the Capital, which I don't think's changed since the 80s. Tremendous.
Sweet and sour chicken balls. And anyway, I was being looked after by my nan, and I had a piece of polystyrene, and I was stabbing it with a Papermate pen. Probably says quite a lot about my character. There probably should have been, some sort of social services called in after it. But anyway, so I'm stabbing this thing with a Papermate pen, and my nan is sort of saying to me, "Stop it, Daniel. Stop it. Stop it." And I'm doing this, and she then finally sort of loses her shit and goes, "Stop it!" And I turn round to look at her, and my hand with the Papermate pen is still doing this. And I managed to plunge the Papermate pen in. Unfortunately, you can't see it because I now have a beard, but that tattoo there of a 7, I have got exactly the same scar here, like that.
Ooh.
That looks like
when
I used to be clean shaven, people used to think I'd been in like a knife fight or something.
Yeah.
Because it is, it's like that big, like that, backwards here. And I put the Papermate pen through my cheek and out of my mouth.
Oh, Jesus.
And the only thing that stopped it going through was, the old clip that clips onto your shirt.
Yeah.
So that was there. That was on the outside of my mouth.
Oh.
And the pen was coming out here like that. Obviously, long day before mobile phones and stuff. So they rung the Chinese and said, my nan was like, Daniel's had an accident. We got to hospital and they had to unscrew the pen like that through my mouth. But where the shirt clip bit had caught me, it torn me like in this backward 7 shape. They then pulled the pen out of my mouth. And because I don't know whether it was, don't really know why this happened, but the doctor said to me, we're not going to give you anything for the pain. You're just going to have to count to 100.
Jesus.
So they gave me 12 stitches whilst I counted to 100
It
in
was
my
the
face.
80s. We were made of sterner stuff back then, weren't we?
And another one, which is there, on my lip, it goes round under my nostril here like that. I had a crisis of personality in my 20s and bought a BMX.
I did the same.
And
I got a BMX in my 20s as well.
Yeah. And I was going down a one-way street with my mum in Frinton, and I had headphones on, big stupid Bose headphones. And I turned the corner onto a one-way street and a bloke had gone the wrong way and hit me.
Oof.
And I went over the handlebars on my BMX, landed on the floor, got up. Luckily, I didn't have a helmet or anything, but luckily the giant headphones had kind of saved my head. And as I got up, there was a woman in her car parked up next to where I'd been hit. She looked at me and she sort of had the face like this. And I was going like that. Because it felt like I knocked my teeth out. And you know, when your mouth's full of blood, you can sort of taste it, can't you? And
yeah.
I felt fine. The rest of my body was fine. Everything was working. But I could feel this sort of pain in my mouth. And I thought, I've knocked my teeth out. And I went like that. And as I went like this, my tongue went up my nose.
Jesus.
And I'd ripped my nostril off.
Oh, yeah. Oh. So for anyone listening, Dan's got like a scar around his nostril there. Impressive, that.
So I've got this big scar that goes round the entire perimeter of my nostril and down my lip. And that part of my face was just hanging off.
Oh, man.
And I put my tongue up to see if I had my front teeth left, and it had gone through my lip like that. I was tickling my nose.
Oh, God.
It was at that point I passed out and woke up in an ambulance.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah, I've not had anything quite so grim. I think that the weirdest one I had was when I was about 3 or 4. I don't remember it, but I've got a tiny little scar on my lip. An ornament, this is like something off the Omen, an ornament just fell off the mantelpiece, broke in midair, and cut my mouth. Really strange. Don't know what that was about. Yeah, I got accosted by a ghost. And I almost got scalped by a fire door one time. So we had to try and get some furniture into a flat. Soft Holly's here. The fire door, they've got the big spring arms on them. I thought, I'll just undo this. So I just undid it. Didn't think about the tension in the spring. Yeah. And it just flew out, shot across the top of my head. I mean, had I been like a couple of inches higher, it would have like properly scalped me. So had that been you, it probably would have scalped you.
Yep.
Yeah. When you're a couple of inches bigger than me, so yeah, it would have done. See, there are some positives to being 5'8". And all my clothes fit me. If it was any bigger, they wouldn't. So